I remember this penny drop for me when I was working on the fifth risk. And I was in the Extreme Weather Center in Norman, Oklahoma.
Another thing. Another thing. Weather. We fucking don't know what the weather is without the federal government.
That's right. You're not going to know what the weather is with the federal government. But this is tornado prediction kind of thing, which is tricky. You know, they're getting better and better at it. But I was with it was a lot of young people, some older people, but all young people in this kind of war room in this glass tower that looks for tornadoes, but they're doing a lot of very complicated weather prediction related work. And I started just interviewing them. You know, I went and interviewed like 10 of them in a day, and they all had stories about when I was 8 years old, a hurricane came, our town was hit by a hurricane, tree fell on our house and killed my dog, that kind of thing. They were traumatized by the weather when they were young. And they knew by the time they were like 16 that they were going to be weather geeks. And they wanted to just figure out, they wanted to stop the weather from doing bad things to people. And there was a place to go. It was the National Weather Service. It is a gem of an organization. They've made incredible progress over the last 50 years in predicting just like what the weather's going to be like in 7 days and also where the hurricane's going to hit. And the idea that you go in and just kind of trash these people and trash their mission it's obscene. They're there. They could all make more money working for Goldman Sachs. And
if DOGE went into a place like that, spent a few months, talked to everybody, figured out who was not cutting the cheese. People. Sorry, is that the right version?
That's all right. We do. We do want to get rid of the people who are cutting the cheese.
That it's sticking up the entire. What did I mean by that? I mean the people who are no good and the people who are bad.
Yeah.
You could go in and you could do a thorough analysis. You know, Al Gore did something like this, and he actually fired $250,000, but he did it through a very careful process of making sure everything tried to work better. And, Gore's nerdiness.
Yes,
this is not about that at all. I think it's quite clear it's not about that. It is about targeting parts of the government that they don't like because they think it's packed of people that are not like them. So USAID is the classic, right?
Yep.
So USAID now, it turns out, I think, and I've talked to some people, I've talked to diplomats who deal with it, they are hard people to deal with. Let's be just, USAID people do think they're saving the world. They don't think they have to answer to anybody. The fact they are saving the world seems to be irrelevant at this point, but they do have an attitude. They've always had an attitude problem. I've talked to people very sympathetic to them who say, oh, yeah, but I'm not surprised it's fucking blow up there, right? So, but anyway, nonetheless, it's any sane person could go in there and say, no, we don't want to be teaching Sri Lankans how to use non-gendered pronouns. No, obviously, fuck that, stupid.
Yeah.
But PEPFAR, which has been a bipartisan program for decades now, that has saved, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of lives.
Tell me about PEPFAR. What does it do?
It's gone.
No, what does it do? What was it doing?
PEPFAR gives basic antiretrovirals, very simple pills to as many people as possible in sub-Saharan Africa to prevent the transmission of HIV and to cure HIV.
Yep.
On a massive scale. And they've managed to bring down the rates of this dramatically and generate huge amounts of goodwill. Now, there is and for a relatively small amount of money.
Yep.
Again, this is pathetic in terms of saving money. It is almost as if they've gone through and they're deliberately destroying effective government for not much money at all, actually. They're finding all these small projects that work, abolishing them, and meanwhile, they're not tackling defense. They will not touch entitlements, which are the huge, big spending. In my view, it's an entirely cynical thing to say, look, we're cutting government, even though, in fact, they're not in any serious way. They're just cutting effective parts of government.
So if a sane person just took them at their word in the very beginning, said, oh, good, we want more government efficiency. That's a good thing.
We all did.
We're all happy to have more government efficiency. Oh, it's great. You're bringing in all these young, technologically savvy people. The government needs its systems upgraded. All good. And their mission is eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. But then the sane person watches what they do. Mm-hmm. The first thing they do is fire all the inspector generals at all the agencies. These are the cops on the beat who report to Congress when they find fraud and corruption.